Hey, I'm Tim Hollingsworth, and today I'm going to teach you how to roast a turkey on the Traeger. So the first step is going to be to take our aromatics. We have lemon, garlic, and thyme. We'll go ahead and prep that by cutting the garlic in half. Cut the lemon into 8. And we'll cut the thyme in half so it fits well in the cavity. So our next step is we're gonna prepare our brine. The trick is we're gonna use a little bit of mayonnaise and salt and pepper. And the reason why I like to use mayonnaise is mayonnaise has it's an emulsified fat, right? It has egg yolks and oil that's all emulsified, and it basically acts as a coating for the turkey that protects it, gets nice and sweet, and actually brines it and goes and penetrates in and creates a juicier product. So we'll just stir this together. Once that's nice and incorporated, we're gonna sit it aside and we'll go grab the turkey. All right, here we have our turkey. Pro tip, we have a towel underneath our cutting board, and we're also gonna put a towel underneath our sheet tray here. That just helps from like sliding around. So as we rub the bird, as we maneuver the bird around, we have a stationary place to work on. Okay, for this part, you're gonna need to roll your sleeves up because we're gonna get a little dirty. We're gonna take our mayonnaise and we're gonna slather it over the top of the turkey, all around, inside the cavity. This is actually a barrier that's gonna really protect it. It's gonna constantly baste the turkey because you have an emulsified fat over the top of the turkey, and it really just creates an even barrier that'll create a nice, shiny, beautiful golden turkey. So you wanna make sure you get it everywhere, even on the bottom. Kind of a note here, something to think about is you don't want big pockets of mayonnaise. You don't want like chunks of mayonnaise like this. You want it to be nice and smooth over the top. That way it'll cook nice and even. Then we'll go ahead and shove our thyme, our garlic, and our lemon inside the cavity. And what this is going to do is it's going to perfume the inside of the bird and really give us a nice flavor. So our next step is we're going to truss the turkey. What is trussing a turkey? Trussing a turkey is really just tying it up. It does a couple of things, right? The first thing it'll do is it'll make it look beautiful and presentable. And the second thing is it helps it actually cook a lot more evenly. So there's a few ways to do it. You can clip the wings right here, or you can tuck the wings under. But what I think is the easiest way to do it is just to kind of position the wings and tie it closely to the breast. So we'll start out by taking some butcher's twine. You want a decent amount of twine so you don't run out halfway through, because we're gonna use one piece of string to tie the whole bird. So our next step, we want to make sure that the string is even. We'll go ahead and go right underneath the neck here. The neck is going to help it be secure. Position the wings nice and tight to the breast. Now we'll take it, we'll loop it through, not once, but twice. And the reason why we're doing that is because when you have it looped through twice, it'll actually hold a little bit more secure. So before we kind of cinch this down, we want to make sure that our twine is like exactly where we want it. Tuck it nice and tight. Next step, we'll go underneath the legs. Loop it through twice again. We'll go ahead and cinch it and knot it. So here we have the trussed turkey. We're gonna let this sit overnight. Really what's happening is that salt, that pepper, the aromatics, and the mayonnaise are gonna actually soak in and start to brine the bird a little bit. All right, so our turkey's been brining overnight. We're gonna go ahead and probe it. So this is a meter. We're gonna stick it right in the breast here. And just wanna make sure it's not you wanna stick it in far enough, but you don't wanna touch the bone all the way through. So once it's like that, we'll go ahead and put it directly in the Traeger. We have the Traeger preheated at 225 degrees. You can cook it on the sheet tray if you want, scrape up the nice fond that develops, or you can put it directly on the grates. All right, so we're gonna leave our turkey in for about 2 hours. I'm gonna get cleaned up and we'll come back and check on it. So after the turkey's been cooking for about 2 hours and it has a nice seal over the top of the bird, I like to create a spritz to start basting it. So in my spritz, I like to use apple cider vinegar and rye whiskey here, 50-50 parts. Gonna add flavor as well as keep the skin nice, make sure it doesn't overcook. Make sure it's nice and moist. All right, time to start spritzing. So we'll continue to spritz it every 30 minutes for the remainder of the cook. We're looking for a temperature of about 158 degrees where we'll pull it and let it rest up to 165 degrees, and that's the temperature we'll serve it at. All right, so just checked our app and the turkey has reached an internal temperature of 158 degrees. Go ahead and put it on our platter. And we'll leave the meter in there. We just want to make sure that it reaches 165 degrees while it continues to rest for probably about 30-45 minutes before we carve it. Okay, so we're going to need to cut our twine off. So our first step is we're going to remove the leg and the thigh. So we'll just create a little bit of separation here. So we're going to create a little bit of space and we're going to carve as close as we can to the leg. That way we're not taking any skin off the breast. So just gently kind of go through here, following the bone. Once the incision is there, we'll sort of tilt it up, just kind of break it and separate it off. Should fall right off just like that. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So just pulling it and then kind of just want to, it'll separate so that joint will pop right out in the natural spot. Then we'll go ahead and carve the leg. Once the turkey's cooked, it's gonna want to naturally break, so you don't need to worry about where the joint is as much because you can just sort of pull it apart nice and slowly. So you find that joint, but it should fall out right at that natural point. Our legs right there. Reserve our thighs right here. Next step, we'll carve our breast. So we're going to take the wings off for the first step on that. We'll go ahead and cut again right at the joint. Give it a little twist. Same thing on the wing. So now we have the breast. Time to take off the crown. So I like to make a little bit of an incision right here. And then we'll go just on the opposite side of the breastplate. Go all the way down here, making sure that we leave our skin nice and intact. Then we're just gonna kind of pull the turkey away just to create enough space so we can kind of see what's going on. But you want to get as close as you can to the bone. Carving down, again cutting and making sure that the skin is nice and intact. Nice even strokes there. Then when you get to the joint, again, you just want to kind of separate that joint at the natural spot. It'll naturally break. Just kind of push your knife right in there. Okay, so once we have one side off, we'll go ahead and take the other side off. Again, just on the other side of the plate here, so there's a little space. Staying as close to the bone as possible. Gently just sort of pulling it away, kind of running our knife through. Pull away, run our knife through again. Separate the joint, the natural point. Just being careful with that skin. So we have the oyster here. It's going to be right on the bottom of the bird. This is considered probably the best piece of meat on a chicken or a turkey, and you can just pull off with your fingers there. So it's got nice dark meat. We'll take the bones, we'll set it off to the side, reserve that for some nice turkey stock. All right, so now it's time to present the bird. We're going to go ahead and slice up the breast. So if you have any bone that's left on there, you just want to kind of nice and gently trim that off. So I like to carve the turkey like we do in a restaurant. So like we carve a chicken in a restaurant. So we'll just remove all the meat off of the carcass and then we'll slice it on a cutting board. It's a lot easier than carving it while it's on the bird, and you're going to yield just a little bit better product. You're going to get more meat, and it's definitely going to be a lot cleaner. Also make sure everybody gets a little bit of skin on the breast. All right, so we'll go ahead and garnish it with the wings right here. And rather than using my knife here, I like to just use my fingers and sort of pull the bone out, sort of give it little twists and turns, kind of using my fingers to protect the meat as I'm gently pulling the bone away. All right, so once we have our thigh bone out, we're going to go ahead and just turn it over. And you can present it whole like this, or you can cut it up into a couple of pieces just to make it easy for everybody to grab. So everybody can take a little bit of dark meat, a little bit of white meat, or whatever they prefer. All right, so we'll go ahead and put the wings on here. We have little kind of bits and pieces of XX turkey. We're just gonna kind of run our fingers through it, make sure we don't have any bones in there. And we'll just place it at the end of the bird, right down here by the thighs. My family, we kind of works out because everybody likes the different pieces. My kids, actually my daughters like the breast, my wife likes the breast, and me and my son like the dark meat, and maybe one of the kids will take the legs. So as long as I get the thighs, I'll be very happy. All right, so we have our turkey nice and carved beautifully here. We'll go ahead and put some blood oranges on there on the side here, and just some beautiful herbs right down the center, just creating a nice presentation. Worked hard on this bird, so we want to make sure it looks beautiful for the family. All right, so here we have our beautiful roasted turkey, which you can find a recipe for at Traeger.com. Happy holidays.